At what point in our society are we all going to get disgusted enough to want to jump across the table, grab somebody, and tell them how insane our mental health system is? Our mental health system is so broken at this point in the United States, it's just unbelievable. If you haven't watched the previous video that's called What is Insanity? These are in sequence, so I highly recommend that you go and watch that one first. You can just go down below this video and click on the link that's called What is Insanity, that image, and it'll take you directly to that video. The latest news in our mental health system in Washington State is that the Western State Hospital did not meet inspection and that they are not any longer going to receive Medicare reimbursements. This is a very sad day in Washington. It's a scary day. It's a sad day. They have, I understand, 900 patients that they are responsible for. And I ask, what is going to happen to those individuals in that facility when, if they shut down, where do all those 900, and a number of them are in for life, they're committed to the hospital for life, where are they going to go and what is going to happen to them? My niece has severe bipolar, and she has actually spent time at Western. She's spent time at a number of different institutions. She's had bipolar 1 for 9 years. And over those years, she's been in and out of facilities. She does very well when she's out of the facilities, but she's when she needs a facility, she needs some very serious help. I want to visit with you about the behind the doors that we've seen in one of the mental health systems that actually was the scariest one to us, much scarier than Western. Some of the hospitals and institutions that she's been in have been very helpful, and thank God for Harborview. They do a fabulous job. They were able to get her stabilized and out. They just do amazing work there, and they have an amazing system. Like I said, she's been out at Western. She's been at Navos Mental Health Hospital. There's just been a number that she's been in and out of. The one I want to talk about today is Cascade Behavioral Health in Tukwila. That's the one that she spent the most time in with her latest episode, and that facility actually scared our family tremendously. I'm going to share with you some information that was actually reported by the SEIU 1199, which is a health care local union. And they reported that Acadia is a Tennessee-based corporation, and they own Cascade Mental Health in Tukwila. And they reported that the year prior to when their report was published, at the time of this strike, which was either 2014 or 2015, that the profit for Acadia had been $83 million, and the CEO's base salary had increased that previous year by 52%, and had a total compensation package of $6.2 million. The employees were on strike because they said that they had concerns that the patients were being put behind profits, and they had a chronic staff shortage with a high turnover rate. Patients weren't getting the care that they needed, and they said that patients and staff were both at risk for injury and assaults. This video is also going to share with you a private investigator's findings. The full reports are on this website or on this web page below. You can look through the full reports, and I highly recommend you do, because they're overwhelming in number and in claims that were filed. The summary of the statistics are for a period of 38 months. They're from 2014 through 2015. The Department of Health had 40 complaints filed, and they had a summary in that same period. They had 2 that were referred to the federal government. They had 7 that were referred to their own Department of Health Next survey. They had 7 statements of deficiencies, and they had 2 that were directed to the Medical Quality Assurance Commission. There were over 600 911 calls in that 38-month period. Tukwila police actually reported, they filed 50 reports. And one of them alleged that there was no security on site. The fire department filed, they said were filing, that they also were receiving an overwhelming number of calls for minor medical calls. I don't understand why our law enforcement and firemen are being called to a for-profit facility to cover aid for medical issues and security. There's no on-site security at a mental health facility. Give me a break. We're paying for that. We're paying for it both to Acadia, and we're paying our law enforcement and police to go in and cover their problems. Like I said, there's over 600 911 calls, and I'm actually going to scroll through the report so you can see. It's just disgusting. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. Page after page of complaints and problems filed with or calls for 911. Another issue that's kind of an aside is that there were 9 patients of those calls that were transported to the jail. Now, these are individuals who are in the mental health facility. Yes, they might have outstanding warrants, but what does it help to take them to jail? Why does it fall on our law enforcement to take care of our mentally ill? That is such a wrong service to everybody. It's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. There's on Yelp, there were 9 out of 9 reviews that were 1 star, and one individual said if she could, she would have claimed it as a 0, but there was no ability to do that. So I'm going to show you those actual, I'll scroll through those as well. Here's a 1 star, here's a 2 star, 1 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 star. You know, what's crazy about this, and these are some long reviews, you can see that. These are family members who are so distraught and so upset with Cascade that they are willing to spend their time to go on and make Yelp reviews for others to stay clear of Cascade. Cascade is not a healing environment. There was nothing about it that was healing. One of the actual observations that I saw was there was a patient that was obviously restrained underneath what appeared to be a fitted sheet, and the patient was thrashing around, and there was a charge nurse sitting at the doorway. And obviously the patient was restrained, because if they weren't, they probably could have pushed the sheet off of them. They were enclosed completely under this sheet, including their head. And I couldn't believe that this was happening, and it was just shocking. Anyhow, later I asked someone that was a professional in the industry, and he'd been in the profession for like in the industry for 36 years, I believe. Anyhow, he said he'd never heard of anything like that. There was such lack of communication between the inpatient and outpatient docs. It was just ridiculous. You'd think that we had no easy ability to communicate, right? I mean, we live in a society that is all about communication and easily communicating with each other. The staff would not communicate with our family. We were a caring family. We cared. We wanted to be involved with my niece, to do whatever we could to help get her better. And there was just such lack of communication. It was unbelievable. The visiting hours were totally unfriendly to the families. You had 1 hour every evening from 6 to 7. And usually it was less than that, because they took us all up in a group And so we didn't get to go up until about 6:15. So you had about 45 minutes every evening. They have nothing for the patients to do to aid in recovery. They just sit around. There's just literally nothing for them to do. It looks and feels like a holding pen in a jail. The elevator one evening, like I said, they took us up in a group. One evening the elevator was broken, and the escort kept stalling, and we were all like, take us up the stairwell. Finally, okay, he'll take us up the stairwell. I could see his hesitation because the stairwell was filthy dirty. I was a manager in a hospital for a number of years, and I know that they keep stairwells as spotless as they do the rest of the hospital so that there's no infection spread. It's a great place for inspection to get started. The facility was very cold. It was in the wintertime, and every evening that I went there, I kept my jacket on because it was cold enough in the facility, and yet all they provided was one thin blanket for the patients. They had a mattress on a hard box, and the beds were maybe 3 to 4 feet apart. The windows are covered with a film. There's no outside view. The majority of the floor staff speak English as a second language, which, as you can imagine, makes it more difficult for individuals with mental illness. These are just some of our family's concern, and it could be your loved one, your son, your daughter, your wife, your husband, your mother, your father, your grandparent, your nephew, your niece, your friend. They say that currently there's 7.5 million Americans 65 and older who are living with mental illness, depression, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, dementia, and that number will double by 2030 as the baby boomers age. How about all of our soldiers returning from war? That's another huge mental health issue. If you think it's not your problem, and it can never happen to you, I can totally relate. I would have never dreamed 10 years ago that our world was going to tip upside down when all this started with my niece, and I can guarantee you it flipped upside down and it's never been the same. When are we as a society going to get desperate? When are we going to begin to just get desperate and say we have to do something different? If you're in a position to make a positive impact, please do. Please make a difference. If you don't, pray for yourself and your family that this experience never drops in your lap, because I can guarantee you if it does, you will pray you did everything you could to make a difference. If you do nothing else, always show kindness. If you see someone on the street who appears to have a mental illness, please show them kindness. You can't even imagine what they're living with. I can't believe the resilience of my niece. She's unbelievable. She bounces back after all of the crazy insanity that we put her through as a society. She bounces back with such resilience. It's unbelievable. So please show anyone and everyone with a mental illness kindness. And please share this video with anyone and everyone you can. Thank you very much for your time.